For story time today, it's dreams, Daniel, and a tree. But first, let's call up Dave the dog to join us. Dave! Hello! Welcome! Can't hear ya. What's happened? Press the wrong.
Right.
Did you press the wrong button again?
Oh, just a bit,
I thought you were doing your ventriloquism thing or something. You know, when you're trying to make it look like... No, you weren't doing that. It went wrong, did it?
I don't need to practice, it's too good.
Okay, well, we'll have some of that later. Look, Dave, are you ready for the story?
Always.
It's dreams, Daniel, and a tree.
Are you going to ask me what story is again?
Well, you never know. We'll see what happens, shall we? So this one is poor old King Nebuchadnezzar's had another dream, and he doesn't understand what it is. King Nebuchadnezzar, remember the king back then with Daniel?
That's a funny name, that.
It is a funny name, but that's his name. I don't know. His mum and dad gave him that name, I guess. Well, he basically had this dream. He was living in the palace, got lots of stuff. Everything was going really well for him. But he had these dreams, and it kind of frightened him, actually.
It's another scary story.
Well, he was a bit frightened. He was a bit worried by it. Quite unusual. So this
I'll
time...
wait down here a minute.
Well, he woke up the next day, and you know the usual thing. You know the drill. He asks all his wise man what this dream meant. It's all right. It's all right. It's there's some difficult parts to this story, but it does end up good in the end.
Is it PG rated?
It is PG rated, yeah.
Is it DG rated for doggies?
Dogs, yeah, you'll be all right. It's fine. So he's had this funny dream, and it's made him a bit worried, a bit frightened. So he calls his wise man in, these people who study the stars, fortune tellers, magicians. He says, right, I'll tell you my dream. This time he's going to tell them the dream, and I want you to tell me what it means. Of course, they didn't have a clue, did they? None of them understood what his dream meant. So then Daniel turns up, and he went, oh, great, Daniel, you'll be able to interpret my dream. So
Daniel's good at them dreams, eh?
Yeah, the king remembered, you see, from last time. So the king says to Daniel, right, this is what happened in my dream. So when I was lying in my bed, this is what I dreamed. I saw a large tree in the middle of the earth.
I like trees.
Yeah. The tree grew very tall and strong, reaching high into the heavens for all the world to see. It had fresh green leaves, and it was loaded with fruit for all to eat.
Can't see it.
Can't see it. It's huge. Everybody could see it. And even the wild animals lived in its shade, and the birds nested in the branches. And all the world was fed by this tree.
Does it say if there was any dogs?
No dogs. Well, actually, if there was wild dogs, they'd have been under that tree getting shade. So in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream, there's this amazing tree. She's awesome. Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
I like trees.
Unfortunately, the dream doesn't stop there, you see, because something happens. There's this messenger from heaven says, cut that tree down.
Was it one of them slow angels or a quick one?
I think it was one of them fast ones, because he come and they did it straight away.
He'd had his coffee.
He came down from heaven and he said, cut that tree down. And the tree was cut down, and you lost all its fruit.
How'd they cut it down? Was it a chainsaw?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't actually say, but if it's from someone from heaven, they've got ways to do these things, haven't
like
they?
A laser beam.
Well, the tree got cut down.
You could take his head off his head, couldn't you, and lob it at the tree? That'd work.
Yeah, it doesn't actually say in the story how he did it, but the tree got cut down, so it wasn't this big, strong, amazing tree anymore. It was bush gone.
I like the Halo version.
Okay, well, we're not sure how the tree came down, but it definitely came down, and then it was just a stump. That was all it was, with some bronze on top. And it talked about basically this person having to go into the wild with the animals because he'd lost
it transformed into a stump.
Well, it was cut down, and then obviously all the fruit was gone, and all that luscious leaves was all gone.
Fair enough.
So that's what happened. And do you know what, Daniel?
Was it third place? Is that why it was bronze?
What, like the Olympics? Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. It was just to stop it was just to completely and utterly cut this tree off. It wasn't going to happen anymore. That's it. End of tree. And so Daniel actually he got quite afraid. Well, you know how Daniel is courageous and brave. I mean, he was in the lions the other day.
Yeah, that angel with a cup of coffee day.
Well, this time he was afraid. Now, if Daniel's afraid, there's a good reason. And what it was, he was a bit worried about what the dream meant because it wasn't a
I'll
good.
just wait down here.
Yeah, it wasn't a good message for poor King Nebuchadnezzar. And Daniel says, "I really wish I could give this dream to an enemy, but this is for you. That big tree is you, King Nebuchadnezzar." And the king said, "Come on, you've got to tell me what it means because
Thought he was a man, that king.
He was a what?
You're saying he's a tree now? I thought he was a man.
In the tree represented the king in the dream. It was like a representation.
Like a metaphor.
A metaphor, yeah.
I saw it in a thesaurus. I don't know what it means, but it sounds good.
But it represents the king. He was prosperous. He lived in the palace. There was lots of good things, and
he had lots of rings, like a tree.
Yeah, that's true. And lots of good stuff. He lived in a palace. Everything was going well for him. But you know what? He wasn't very good to the poor. And he was full of his own importance. He's very arrogant and like, look at me, look what I've achieved.
Did he have any doggy shelters?
No, I don't think he wasn't very nice.
You see,
to
that's
dogs.
Bad man. That
it
no
is.
Doggy shelters.
No, he was in trouble. He wasn't being very good to the poor. He wasn't doing what he should do, and God was not happy with him. But so Daniel said, "Look, sort yourself out, repent, turn from what you're doing, put yourself right with God, look after the poor,
Does
and
it
you'll
matter
be
which
all
way
right."
you turn? Left or right?
You've got to do a U-turn, I think. You know, like it says on the sat nav, do a U-turn.
Then you can't see my face, can you?
Yeah. He had to completely about turn and stop being nasty and be nice again.
Was he dizzy?
He wasn't. He didn't.
I feel a bit dizzy now.
Do you know what happened, Dave?
No, I don't, because I don't know the story. We are here again, are we?
He didn't listen to the dream. He didn't listen. Basically, the dream said, if you don't repent, if you don't turn from your ways, then you're going to lose the palace. You're going to lose all your stuff. You're going to get kicked out of the palace. You're going to lose being king. Yeah, big deal, wasn't it? So Daniel said, look, turn, sort yourself out with God because you're going to lose it all. And do you think he listened? Do you think the king listened to Daniel? Do you think the king listened to the dream?
Yes, because Daniel's good with coffee and angels, so that makes the king have to listen.
No, the king didn't listen.
No.
And so 12 months later, the dream came true. He was kicked out of the palace. He lost being the king, and he had to go and live out in the field, in the wild, with the wild animals. And he was just a very changed person. He wasn't like this big, proud person anymore. He was on the floor.
You would be, wouldn't you?
You would be, yeah. You'd be a bit different, wouldn't you?
It's sad.
It was sad. It was very sad. And it happened for 7 periods of time. So I'm thinking maybe a few years, maybe 7 years or something, quite a long time. He was out in the wilderness.
That's a long time in doggy years.
That is actually. And
that's like turning 50.
Yeah, but he wouldn't listen, would he? The dream told him, God warned him. He says, you can't be like that. You can't be nasty to people. You've got to turn from this. 1 minute he's saying God's brilliant and wonderful and how he saved Daniel, and the next minute he's just being all this and let's look at me.
He wasn't very consistent in his thought processes, was he?
No, but
he needs a priority list or a to-do list. Oh, to-do list.
To do, be nice to my friends. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, he learned his lesson the hard way. So after 12 months, he did say sorry to God. He did turn all the way around to be nice, repented, turned away from his bad behaviour to be a nice king. And he got all his stuff back. He got his kingship back. He got the palace back. He went back into the palace. Everything was cushy.
Did he have a doggy shelter after that?
I think he did. Doggy shelters.
You can always tell how nice someone is if they look after dogs.
Yes, I reckon he would have done because he'd be nice to dogs at last. But he had to learn his lesson the hard way, Dave, didn't he?
Oh.
But he wouldn't listen to Daniel. He wouldn't listen to the dream. He had to learn the hard way. He had to be in the wilderness until he said sorry.
My mate Bert ain't learning the hard way neither. Keeps losing on his computer because he ain't got fingers. He reckons he'll learn how to do it.
Oh, dear me. Maybe you can help him. Do you think you could help him?
No.
No, there's no helping him, is there? Well,
it's beyond help.
Well, that's what happened to King Nebuchadnezzar. He had to learn the hard way. He had to go into the wilderness, and finally he learnt.
Oh.
So it was a good end to the story, really, because he did go back into the palace. He did get to be king again, but he wasn't as nasty and full of himself. He was much more kinder and a nicer person afterwards. So that's good.
More kinder. It's good English,
More
that ain't. Now you're starting to speak, Dave.
I know. You're having an influence on me, aren't you? Yeah. So what did you think of that story?
Oh, it's good, that. I like the tree.
Tree. Why do you like the tree?
Sticks.
Sticks, yeah.
Because if that tree fell down, there'd be lots of sticks.
Actually, yes, so the tree did come down, so there would have been lots of sticks.
Where was it? Can I have a GPS location?
No, that's in Babylon. It's a long way away, but it was Babylon. It's a different country.
Is that near Birmingham?
No, it's in a completely different continent and different area. And in fact, it was thousands of years ago as well, so it's like long gone, that tree. Anyway, it was a dream, remember? It wasn't real.
Oh, well.
Remember, it's just a dream. Yeah.
Good dream.
Well, I tell you what, you need to go and find a tree, don't you, then, and tell us about it.
What? I don't need a wee.
No, to get your sticks. Your sticks.
Oh,
you want your
right, then,
sticks.
yeah.
So you like that story? Happy ending. That's what we like, isn't it? Brilliant. Thank you for joining us, Dave.
You want me ventriloquism?
Oh,
I can speak in different languages now in ventriloquism.
Different languages.
Oh, are you ready?
Yeah, ready. What language?
Did you get that?
Well, what language? Because I don't speak. But what language was it?
That was English. You're French.
Go on then.
You see, it's different, Aid.
I couldn't quite catch it, if I'm honest.
Was you listening?
Oh, I really, really listened this time.
Do you want to go again?
Yeah.
Pick a language and I'll do it in an accent.
German. Oh, I can hear
You
that.
see?
Yeah,
It's
there's a
there,
slight
right?
difference, isn't there? Yeah, absolutely. What did you say? And was it about trees and sticks, was it?
Oh,
I see. I picked up on most of it.
I want a tree. Where is it, please?
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you for joining us, Dave the dog. We'll see you next time.
Oh, ta-ra, a bit.
Bye for now. And that's story time.